Taiwan is condemning China's military drills around the country, calling them irrational provocations. Now, Beijing launched large-scale open-ended drills around Taiwan earlier on Monday, saying that it's a warning to those who, quote, promote independence. Jaime Ocon is following this story for us here in Taipei, and he joins us from the TaiwanPlus newsroom. Jaime, what do we know so far about these drills, and what's Taiwan's response been?
Well, Taiwan has scrambled fighter jets and deployed anti-air and anti-ship missiles in response to China's military activity. Taiwan has already spotted about 25 Chinese military aircraft around the region. There's also a Chinese aircraft carrier in waters east of Taiwan. So what we know so far is that China announced that it's conducting a large-scale military exercises that it's calling Joint Sword 2024B. They started Monday at 6 a.m., but China has yet to give an end date to those exercises. Beijing says that the drills aim to practice how to blockade Taiwan and control key ports. It's also practicing how to strike targets both on land and at sea. Now, these drills come just a few days after Taiwan celebrated its National Day, where President Lai Ching-te gave a speech saying that neither the Republic of China, which is Taiwan's official name, or the PRC, the People's Republic of China, are not subordinate to each other. Now, that statement is seen as pretty provocative from China, as it sees Taiwan as part of its own territory. Overall, Lai's speech was pretty restrained at even reaching out to Beijing at some times to ask for cooperation on certain issues like climate change and regional security. But despite Lai giving a more toned down speech, many say that China was just looking for a pretext to conduct exercises. I spoke to one analyst who said that China was always going to react in this way.
I think it's really important to note that President Lai's speech was very, he tried to strike a very even tone and choose words that resembled those of President Tsai and just find a lot of continuity. And I think there's a really clear indicator here that even with that good effort by President Lai, Beijing is just not having it. And that's a really important sign, I think, for everybody to take. I think what's interesting, though, is that in parallel to this response, you also have President Tsai, who's now obviously out of office. She's taking a trip to Europe. So I think the lack of an end date, or at least public acknowledgement of an end date, gives the PRC to also signal a response to President Tsai's visit to Europe, depending on what she says or does publicly as well.
Well, Lauren, what's your read on these exercises? Is this more about China trying to practice how to blockade Taiwan?
You know, there's a lot of different signals I would read from this. One of them is that, the PRC no longer has just the intention to do these things. They also have the capability, and they're very clearly demonstrating it too. Whether it's the Coast Guard or some of the closure zones, the way they've changed how this exercise is linked together, and how you had the aircraft carrier as well sailing out last night through the Bashi Channel. All of that, to me, is a very clear signal that, again, the PRC has the capability to do something like a blockade or a quarantine, and they're adjusting and refining some of these tactics within that capability space to enforce a blockade or quarantine.
Now, there's been a lot of comparisons between these drills and drills that were held back in May from China after Lai Ching-te took office. Those were called Joint Sword 2024A. These drills that started on Monday are called Joint Sword 2024B. So many believe that this is just part two, a continuation of China's military aggression towards Taiwan. It's still a bit too early to tell what the key differences, what the real differences are between the two drills. But regardless of the situation, Taiwan's military says it is alert and responding to the situation.